Hi guys, and welcome to a recording between Sonia Killick and Dave Henderson. Dave Henderson, that's me. I'm the founder of MYeBook, a self-publishing platform. Sonia Killick, my lovely guest on the left-hand side. Hi.
Hi.
Sonia, I hope you don't mind if I read a short paragraph of your author page of Amazon, just to introduce you to the viewers.
If it's in the public domain, I cannot complain. Just make it sound amazing.
I will read it in my hunkiest voice. So,
Yes.
Sonia Killick is a life coach and author, full stop. She has spent many years contributing to both national and international publications, writing about all areas of the human experience and psyche. After qualifying as a metaphysical psychologist, she opened a life coaching practice and has been a sought-after contributor in the areas of personal empowerment, and change implementation. Sonia, that sounds very high level. Can you explain to the people watching this video what exactly that means?
So I'm interested in educating people, transforming people's lives, and doing that in the simplest way possible. So, oh God, that's a big topic. Yeah, I'm interested in, as I said, change implementation. So, I mean, a lot of people know where they want to be. They just don't necessarily know how to get there and how to connect those dots. And so I help them identify the challenges, of which sometimes there's many. We work through those challenges. We do what we need to do internally, externally in people's lives. And after a couple of weeks, people come out happy and awesome, more awesome than they already are. And yeah, it's a process I really enjoy doing. I love working with people.
It's great to hear. I saw you were looking very excited while you were talking about it, which is always a very good sign.
Yeah, I'm
so
passionate
for those
about
of you watching who are wondering why Sonia, I mean, it's obvious why me, but why Sonia? So Sonia Killick has released 2 books into the public domain using, obviously, Amazon as a platform. Sonia's first book was called, is the title still the original title?
No, and we can discuss that. We can discuss why I decided to change it. So go for it. Say the original title.
So the original title, and this might be bleeped out, was Birth, Fuck Yeah. And I loved it. I loved the title. I thought it was such a cool breath of fresh air when it comes to, polite titles. I really thought it stood out. And Sonia's book went out into the public, and Sonia had quite an interesting experience with paid reviews. So obviously one of the goals of any author going to Amazon is to garner great reviews. Now you can't promise great reviews because that's against Amazon's TOCs. So you can't incentivize people and you can't force them to give you great reviews. And Sonia had a very interesting experience where she had paid for a service promising reviews of her book. And well, I'll let Sonia explain what happened.
Yeah, so I was a new author. I published Birth, was it 3 years ago now? 2 years? I can't even remember. Jeez, I know. So I was a new author, and I was high on the passion of why I wanted to write the book. And I think as every author will experience, when you first write a book, you're pretty much convinced that the world is going to receive it well, and, you're going to be a well-known author name overnight, which sadly is not the case. So it's a very big journey, especially on the self-publishing journey. Normally if you're lucky enough to have an agent and to go through a publisher, or if you choose to go that route, they kind of do that process for you, and they hold your hand a lot of the way, and they phone you and they say, we need X, Y, Z, and you deliver it. When you're self-publishing, a lot of the onus, well, all of the onus is on you. And being the highly solution-orientated and practical person that I am, whenever I undertake a new project, I like to know as much as possible. So I spent endless amount of hours researching Amazon, learning about the publishing industry, watching webinars, reading articles. I mean, you name it. I should show you my book, actually. It's just like handwriting. And of course, one of the key things that came up were reviews. So because Amazon is based on the review system, if your book doesn't have a certain amount of reviews, it's going to be lost in the stratosphere of 1,000,000 trillion products being sold on Amazon. So every author's goal is to get as many reviews as possible so that I can promote the book. And of course, people can find your book and you can connect with possible readers. So that's the goal, right? So as a new author, I learned about all this and I knew about all this, but it's very difficult. It's very difficult to get reviews, specifically if you look at location. So we're chatting in South Africa. the South African platform or the South African market isn't really that geared to Amazon. With Amazon Prime coming up now, that's changing. A lot of people are using that video service. But people still, South Africans, are still not purchasing from Amazon. So that was my first problem that I came up with, because obviously my market is predominantly South African because I'm South African, my network is here. But I wanted to, like every author, I wanted to be on the global stage. And of course, Amazon being the biggest platform for authors that there is out there, obviously I wanted to succeed on that platform. So back to my review. So I thought, okay, well, if I can't get reviews the old way, and we can discuss that, Dave, like what is the old way? How do you get reviews? In my research, and of course Amazon has stopped that now, and thank goodness they have. But a couple of years ago,
it's actually a really good point. Is I think obviously we're in the middle of a discussion involving ebooks, and I think coming from a country like South Africa, so for those of you who are watching from outside of South Africa, just know that if you hear a couple of gunshots, it's fine.
So I've got my Rottweiler sleeping right next to me.
So if a lot of the discussions I have with authors just involving that review system, there seems to be a misconception where they seem to think, well, ebooks, reviews, the whole system has changed, and what I love is when I explain to them that, the introduction of the ebook and Amazon being the giant that it is, the most popular way of people finding books actually hasn't evolved, right? It's still word of mouth. What the review system does is it just changes how people let each other know that the book is good enough to read. And so it's a big misconception that I try to get out the way as quickly as possible, that, being Amazon or being an author of an ebook, changes that word of mouth, the book going viral. And Amazon system is obviously the major driving force behind how people find out if a book is going to be on their next purchase.
And I think reviews they do play quite a bigger role. If in a few years' time you've written a few titles and you want to perhaps get a publicist or an agent, the first thing they're going to do is go onto your Amazon page and they're going to look at your book sales and they're going to look at the amount of reviews. So while it's not key, it is kind of important, and it certainly shouldn't be your only focus. And we can talk just now about how I shifted my focus away from reviews. But it's kind of like a chicken before the egg thing. On the one hand, yes, they're important. On the other hand, are they that important? But I think it is definitely a stage in an author's life that every author will go through. They will go through that review process where they either desperately want reviews, they're trying to get the reviews, and how do they manage to do that? Because another problem is a lot of people who read books, I personally don't leave reviews unless, I'm just trying to think when I have left. But now I would probably I can't think of one instance when I've left a review.
If you were an author looking for reviews at the stage of publishing your first book, wouldn't you leave reviews for other books that you're reading as a kind of karma?
Well, absolutely. So this is the thing. This is how we have to start looking outside of the box. So it is very much about relationship building. And I actually spoke about this the other day. When you write a book, it's a very emotional experience. It doesn't matter what the genre is, whether it's fiction, nonfiction, it doesn't matter. You are creating an emotional connection with your reader. So that, and emotions are based on relationships. Yeah. So for me to have a successful campaign for your book, whether it's reviews or whatever it is, to build that relationship between you and your readers has to be an emotional thing. And that's based on relationships. So I love the idea of networking. I love the idea of author groups where you can support each other, where you can support each other with good reviews, obviously real, authentic reviews. But also, I spoke earlier about the different market that you're in and us being in South Africa. My network is here and I should be tapping. The mistake I made originally was I didn't tap into my local market. I focused far too much on people I've never ever met, people from all over the world, little Amazon users, from all over the world, which should be looked at. And it should be, as an author, we should connect with them. But I do believe that your first and foremost step is you should build your foundation. And your foundation is your immediate network. And it's far easier for any author, and I'm speaking specifically for myself, it's far easier to connect with people, readers locally. You know, you can, depending on your genre, I'm obviously nonfiction, so it's a little bit easier with nonfiction, but I can do local talks, I can join local groups, and I'm more present, and that relationship can be built between myself and...
So just something that popped into my head. Do you think authors like yourself, you know, writing from a country like South Africa, so outside of the mainstream publishing circles, do you think the review system is geared against us? Do you think, you know, not many South Africans that I know have Amazon accounts, and the obvious reason as well, we can't always order stuff from Amazon. So an example is recently there was a really cool light that I wanted to buy off Amazon, and lo and behold, I couldn't ship it. Obviously, with ebooks, it's slightly different, and the uptake is greater. But in general, because not many people, firstly, have access to the internet, and you know, secondly, Amazon is very far from the back of our minds once people gain, you know, some sort of internet access. Do you think the review system is geared against people from countries like South Africa?
I would say so, yes, absolutely. You know, if you could create an Amazon account with your Facebook account, that might be one step easier. But people are geared against hard work, and it's hard work to create a new account. So, you know, as a South African, you have to create a new Amazon account. When would you really use that Amazon account? As you said, you know, you can't get products delivered, physical products. You can, but it's a huge mission. You have to really, really, really want it. So already that motivation is not really there. And yes, an ebook is a digital product, but you're still going to the same hassle of having to use a platform that we don't use in our everyday lives. You know, and that is possibly something that Amazon should look at. But I mean, do they care? I mean, I know they've recently started shipping to South Africa, which is great. But it's a South African mindset where it's a platform that we don't normally use. So yes, to answer your question, I would say it's definitely against us.
So I think that sort of answered the question, because what I wanted to ask is okay. So I've written a book now. Okay, someone tells me I've got to get reviews, and fine. I start to work on these reviews. Now, obviously, the first thing I'm going to do is ask friends and family, right? Is that what you did?
Well, yes, you can certainly do that. I thought I would bypass that whole process and just go straight to paid reviews, which was a disaster.
Why did you bypass that organic outreach?
Well, I think at the time, I'm trying to connect back with the thinking and the decisions I made at the time. But at the time, I thought I can do all of this hard work of phoning those friends and those family members, et cetera, et cetera. Or
was it at that point that you realized you didn't have enough friends?
It was, yes. But also remember that my book was very specific. It was on childbirth. So that immediately limits the amount of readers. I mean, I couldn't, that excludes all my male friends, all my male family members, you know. And I only had 2 anyway. So, I mean, one girlfriend, one boy.
I wonder if Amazon would see a review from a guy on a book about birth and go, hold on, something's not right.
Well, I mean, there's fathers to be, et cetera, et cetera. So there are male readers for
right.
Book.
They
but
be. Okay.
The thing is, it was a difficult book to market to my immediate circle of people who knew me, simply because I either were already fathers or had no intentions of being fathers. And then, of course, the mothers, I think in my immediate, the people, not even immediate, and I'm talking acquaintances, so in the 500 odd people I know, however many of those are, I think maybe
500 people.
Well, on Facebook, yes.
I'm feeling really jealous.
Wow. Because the topic of my book was quite controversial, so the goal for me was so South Africa has the highest cesarean rates in the world. So obviously the majority of mothers that I knew had cesarean operations.
Okay, just take a quick step back there. Because my guy side's taking over, and what? South Africa has a high cesarean rate in the world?
It does, yes.
Who measures that stat?
It's the World Health Organization. There's many, many groups and medical companies, well, medical groups, I should say.
The highest cesarean rates in the world. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's upwards of 80%. Obviously, it fluctuates year by year, but on average, 80%. And that's something that I would like to change for many, many reasons. So I was up against a lot of opposition. So I had the access to Amazon, which was hard for me. I had the resistance to the topic of my book, because a lot of people don't like, well, a lot of people, the majority of people don't like change. Our medical system is very much entrenched in South Africa. Doctors prefer cesareans, it's faster. It is a lot more expensive. They make a lot more money. And there are so many reasons, you know. And then, of course, you have the emotional aspects of it. You know, a woman who had an unnecessary cesarean, you know, there's emotions and feelings attached to that, which obviously press buttons. So my possible market of readers and everything else really, really, really narrowed down to such a small amount. And although
so
my goal... Sorry, say that again?
Okay. No, that explains why, obviously, you opted for the paid reviews rather than waiting for things to happen naturally. Absolutely.
Well, and considering I wrote a book on natural birth, I should have written my second book on waiting for natural reviews. But yeah, so I think an organic review is somebody who's bought your book because they are genuinely interested in the topic. So the reviews on mine, I've been on a lot. Thank God it stopped. I could have stopped it. When they started coming through, my face literally, I was like, what have I done? But an organic review is somebody, a reader, who has chosen your book because they are genuinely interested in the topic. And then their review would be a lot more accurate. What I did was I paid this blitz 50 reviews, whatever the case was. And they're obviously a group of people who get paid to read books. So I couldn't control my audience. I had no control over who was going to receive my book. And they were all American readers. So I had people who had no interest in birth reviewing it. I had people who aren't parents, who've never experienced birth in any of its formats reviewing it. So I had no control over the readers.
Do you think there was at some point, if you were a paid reviewer, surely, if you were buying a book on birth, you would have some sort of vested interest in the book that you were paid to review, right?
Well, then again, it's going back to the mindset. So a lot of them were Americans, and without fail, the common theme of the negativity running through all those reviews were an inability to believe that a doctor would perform a cesarean if it wasn't necessary. That's impossible. A doctor would only do a cesarean if it was absolutely life-threatening, which, as we know, is not the case. Certainly not the case. And the global cesarean rates are rising 30%, 40%, 50%, depending on the country. So again, it goes back to that although that reader might be paid to read books, they weren't necessarily interested in the topic or open to what I had to say in the book. The other thing I came across, which I had comments on spelling, because of course American spelling is different to the English UK spelling.
I was wondering about that.
Oh my goodness. And when I saw it, when the first couple of negative reviews came through, I was devastated. Obviously any person would be. But when things like that, and I actually found that quite, what's it called, like trolls on the internet. I just thought, that's unnecessary, because firstly, if you knew the English language, you would understand that there was different spelling between English and American spelling. But also to point that out, I found it it was like a petty. Personal attack. It was petty, absolutely petty.
Did you answer when people left a bad review?
I was dying to correct them. I was dying to say, actually, that is how you spell cesarean in English, or that is how you spell certain words. And I continued what was that? Just
that's
people being murdered in the background. What was it?
That's what it sounds like living in the city in Cape Town.
The next thing I did, obviously my quest to understand the Amazon beast, was I Googled, should you, as an author, respond to any negative things? And there was categorically no. So I had to bite my tongue, and I had to leave it up there, and it's in the public domain, and there's absolutely nothing I could do about it. So then you have hope that future readers will use their intelligence, and they will judge for themselves whether things are spelled correctly or not.
That's a great point. So someone leaves a review, they are home one night, they're drunk on their cheap wine, and they leave a negative review that has absolutely no relevance. Is there any feedback system where you can get something like that taken down?
You can complain to Amazon, but I think the chances are, I did respond and said, it's unnecessary, it's inaccurate, etc. And they said, well, sorry, everyone has a right to the. So I think only if there's extreme profanity the review would have to be really extreme for Amazon to take action. But if that was the case, can you imagine every single person who has a product on Amazon would be complaining about reviews, especially when people order like a deck chair and it arrives this big, you know. Like there would be a lot of complaints, you know.
So as an interesting point, I hope you don't mind if I read through some of the comments that you got from people of Amazon.
And please do, because I have actually prepared an answer for every single one of them. And for the last couple of years, I've had to keep it swallowed inside. So now I shall have an answer.
Oh, Sonia, now's your moment. Now's your time to shine.
Now is my moment. It has arrived. Patience always pays off.
Okay, so inaccurate and highly opinionated. New mummies to be please steer clear of this title. By Kindle customer 1 star. And how do you answer?
Well, it's not inaccurate because it's all factually. You can check every single fact. So, I mean, this is...
Okay, but you have to answer... You need to answer this in your most condescending tone, please.
Oh, my condescending. All right. I think, darling, that you are a fool, and perhaps you should check your grammar and your spelling. And before you comment on either the accuracy or inaccuracy of facts, perhaps you should check your facts first, because if you had to do just one tiny little bit of research, you would know that my facts are, in fact, factual. And if I say fact one more time, I might, in fact... What is another word that rhymes with fact?
Okay, so I want to summarize your answer basically as nuh-uh.
Boom. All right. Or I can do this.
Okay. We have Jennifer Walsh reading a 1 star who says, Sonia, there's children one.
Sorry, are there?
Misleading title, Unmedicated Birth Manifesto.
Oh, sorry, say it again. Unmedicated Birth Manifesto.
Misleading title, comma, Unmedicated Birth Manifesto. Based on the title, thought I was getting a thoughtful discussion on various birth options. Turns out this is a manifesto for vaginal, unmedicated birth. Be prepared for the author's description of her birth as normal. I wish I could get my dollar back.
Aww.
Condescending voice. Back to you.
But darling, it is on natural childbirth. That's what the subtitle says. I wrote it to educate women on natural childbirth. So yes, it is a manifesto of natural childbirth.
It's a good answer. I'm tempted to make you answer like Daffy Duck. Okay. Here we have a 5 star to balance out the negative. An amazing read. Infuriating. By Sonia as well. Oh, never mind. Okay, let's go back. I see not an honest look. Not the book for you unless you are looking for the opinion of a total natural birth supporter. It kind of sounds like the one before it.
So I actually had a thought that a few of them were actually doctors, because like I said, it was controversial, because every single thing I wrote in the book, and please, I will stand in a court of medical law, whatever the case is, every single thing is factual. Okay, these are medical facts. And I
you have
had
references in the book, right?
2 editors. I had one who was like a normal editor who checked my spelling and my grammar and my full stops and commas. And my second editor was a medical specialist. So when I tell you anyway, the point is, it's all correct.
So it wasn't just the
So it's not my opinion. But what I did do is I packaged all this knowledge together and I delivered it, because this knowledge on the effects on the physiological, emotional, mental effects of a medicated birth on both the mother and the child is not well documented. You have to do an enormous amount of research to find those kind of things. And it's not well documented for a good reason, because the medical industry globally is an industry. Okay, it's not there for women, it's not there for children, it's there to make money. And God, I can bring up a million statistics of women all over the world who are standing up and saying there is too much abuse happening in the delivery room, because there is. There are not hundreds, thousands of birth movements around the world who are trying to normalize birth. And yes, I did use the word normal, because unfortunately, natural has been, if you have a vaginal birth, yes, I said vagina, birth, even with an epidural, then it's considered natural, and no, it's not. And normal birth is how your body should function, right? It's normal. So yes, I use the word normal.
I would imagine. Okay, so what about the argument that negative reviews, controversy, is not a bad thing? So you were getting bad reviews, but people were still buying and still ranting.
All
And
right,
isn't that sort of negative?
there I chickened out. So there I chickened out. And I actually had a lot of very, very positive feedback, either via email or directly to my face, whatever the case was. In fact, one of the editors of big newspaper, big magazine, I can't remember, about 3 days after I released the title, she wrote back to me. She's like, well, bloody done. And I was like, thank you. So on the one hand, the controversy, I was going to use the controversy because it is a controversial subject, and I was going to use it. But then after that whole experience, and I chickened out, and I thought to myself, okay, clearly I've gone too hard. I've gone and too honest, too hard, and I need to soften my approach. So that's actually why recently, about 6 months ago, I republished it, and I took out Fuck Yeah. And a lot of people, I thought people would have been supportive of that. Like, well done, son, like be a little bit more mature, be a little bit more professional, etc. And actually everyone's really upset with me. They prefer the Fuck Yeah. And because my whole idea behind
really
Fuck Yeah. Did you like it?
I really like that first title as well. And the controversy, I would like it. I would actually, in fact, if your book isn't causing controversy and getting 1 star purely because of the title, for example, I think you might be doing something wrong. Okay, so you mentioned, Son, that you rebranded your book. What did the rebrand include? What was that process after you got the bad reviews? What was the rebranding process?
My decision to rebrand wasn't entirely because of me deciding to soften my approach to the subject. It was also because my second book was about to be published and third is shortly on its way. And I decided to do a series. So I actually wanted all the covers of my book to be similar in nature, recognizable. So yeah, my decision to rebrand wasn't entirely about that. Yeah.
Okay. And the actual process of rebranding, was it simply just a cover update?
I had to change the interior as well. I changed the subtitle. And then I did go back through. I was quite hard hitting on certain topics, so I did a very brief rewrite of the book itself, and I just softened a few things.
So is it fair to say, Son, that the should I say Son, or does it make a difference? Son, Sonia.
Son,
yes. You
can call me God. I don't. Whatever.
Call me whatever you want, as long as you call me.
Yeah.
Okay, so is it a
I almost said something so rude, and I'm like, oh, you're being recorded, Sonia. Focus. Okay, go.
Is it fair to say, Sonia, that the trolls won?
Oh God, no! Fuck that! Oh no, listen, they hurt. I had a few moments of like rocking in the corner, like, oh, they hate me. But no, they certainly didn't. You know what they did do is they encouraged me, or perhaps forced, we'll say encouraged is more positive, to think of alternatives and to think of different ways I can do things and to learn from my mistakes. It was certainly, and for my second, third, fourth, fifth book, I know what to do now. It's a learning experience. I don't regret the experience by any means. And no, they certainly did not win. I think of any artist, whether you're an author or a painter, whatever it is that you do, I think if you're going to, you have to have thick skin. And if you're going to lie down after the first person throws stones, then what's the point of even creating art?
So if you had to look at this, the process of birth being put up and the reviews and the rebrand that you've consequently been through for the book, what would you pick maybe as the top mistakes you made during the process of maybe the title selection and the review package that you obviously bought and paid for? What were the biggest mistakes you've made that you would warn people watching against?
I would say impatience. I was so excited to publish my first book. I would say impatience was my biggest mistake. So instead of doing it right, and I mean, what I should have been doing was focusing on my local market. I should have been doing talks. I should have, that's what I should have been doing, but that would have taken a lot more hard work. And to be fair, or to be honest, I should say, by the end of that publishing process of writing the book and publishing, I was exhausted and I was like, right now I want it to be done. So impatience led me to make poor decisions. And I think every author listening to this can relate, where we want overnight success. We want that recognition. And we kind of want the pain to end as quickly as possible because it's really painful writing a book, okay? And it's really painful going through the publishing process. And then we want that reward. And we have to understand and be prepared for the long haul. And the long haul could take years. You know, you are slowly building up your authorship platform, your business, and rather...
And authors don't want to think about that process being so long and such a slog.
Exactly. People don't want to think about it. And you have to... Like what I've done separately now is created long-term strategy. And I think that's very, very important. And if I would rather have 100 readers who I've impacted. I mean, the reason I wrote the book was to educate women and to empower them. And I would rather empower 100 women, okay, then I've done my job, than have 1,000 reviews of people who, you know, did or didn't read the book, who knows, you know. So I think I think as an author, you've got to get back to the reason why you wrote. You know, even if you're writing a children's book, what's more important to you? That one child absolutely adores your book and is having the best dream for their life, or that you have 1,000 reviews from whatever paid service, you know? So I think we need to take it all back a step. And yes, it takes longer to build your platforms and your local network. If you're doing it on a relationship basis, you know, as I spoke about before, you know, like, hey, this is me, this is my story, come to my talk, come to my website, you know, that takes more work, it takes a bit longer, but I think the results are better in the long run, certainly.
So would a good summary of what you just said be to just slow things down?
Yes, I would say slow things down, but also focus on what you have control over. You know, I've got no control over Amazon. No one has no control over Amazon, but I do have control over my immediate market, you know. And yes, focus your attention on your immediate market and ask them, please, if you liked my book, if you loved it, please, if you wouldn't mind, here's a link, write a review on Amazon. Sure. You don't forget about Amazon by any means, but I think we authors make the mistake as Amazon becomes the focus, and we forget about everything else. Whereas Amazon actually should just be a tool. It is a tool. You know, your book and yourself and your platform and how you're communicating your message and your story and everything else, that's more important. And Amazon is just one of those tools. It's an important tool, but it's certainly not the tool.
Sorry, I'm just seeing a sock puppet go across the screen when you do that. So Son, we should actually just leave the reviews and just do like a sock puppet. Okay, so time for a shameless plug.
Sorry.
Do you have copies of your book that you can hold up for the people watching?
I don't have the new one, but I've got the old one.
You seriously came on a video interview and you don't have copies of your book next to you?
Well, yeah. All right, hold on.
Awesome
no, I just realized something. I have pajamas. I was going to say, I'm going to stand up, right? But it's going to get progressively worse. As I
if you're wearing pants, it's okay.
I'm wearing pants, but I might have granny panties on underneath.
I'm wearing
they're not granny pants. They're not granny panties. They are sleeping shorts.
Well, if it makes you feel better, I can stand up and show off my hot water bottle.
At the same time, together. 1, 2, 3, let's go. I'm back. Did you entertain the listeners with your sexy...
I did. I was considering reading one of the reviews with a Yoda voice.
Oh, please do. Come on, go.
Then I have to reverse the way in my head. Positives first with I will start. Because that's it.
That's too good. It's too good. All right. So
I did see one line here that really caught my eye. So the review's titled "If No, If This."
Oh yeah. I remember that one.
And one of the lines I can see that the person's left here is, "I was absolutely astonished at the anger emanating from this book."
Oh, I remember that one. Yeah.
You apparently are full of anger, Sonia.
Oh.
It's probably a bad idea to answer these reviews passive aggressively.
Don't get on my bad side, Dave. I mean, that person out there, whoever they may be, they know me better than anyone. They know the anger inside me. They recognize it. Yeah.
You don't know me.
Mm-hmm. But anyway, fuck them.
Okay. So shameless plug of your two books.
So this is the original. And the reason I did Fuck Yeah was because I wanted women to be excited about birth, not terrified. You know, women are terrified of birth. And doctors predominantly put that fear into them. And of course, movies and shit, and God, it's like a normal process. It's like having a poo, for fuck's sakes.
And I suppose birth, yeah, that's a great, it's a great.
I have another rebuttal. And yes, I used a big word because I'm an author. Rebuttal for the other chick who was about the natural manifesto. And may I just read the subtitle? An honest guide to natural epidural and cesarean choices. So I did actually include it in the subtitle. And if you didn't read that, then my darling, I think you need to perhaps not only go back to school and learn how to speak proper English. Okay, stop me.
I can see you holding on. So birth, as opposed to the male version called birth fuck no.
Exactly.
An honest look at abortion.
Dave, you didn't. So bad. So
you can edit that. That's fine.
I'm just going to do beep. I'm going to put those little black blocks over your mouth.
We're going to have a lot of that going on.
Yeah.
Okay. So
all right, so second book
we see
is that Coach My Life, and you will notice it's a lot more subdued and a lot more kiddie friendly. So
you gave
I know. I conformed to society. So the second book, I'll just put a little digital mock-up here. So anyway, it's the same style, just different colors. So yeah, so it is going to be a series. And I'll definitely let those reviewers know that I've published a new book. I mean, I'd be quite interested to know what their next topics are.
An obvious question is okay, so you pay for reviews. You had a really to use a proudly South African term, a really cuck experience. Would you do it again? Would you pay for reviews for your next book?
No, God, no. No, I want genuine readers. I want people who chose my book because they were interested in the topic, you know. And if someone just happened to come across my book and they picked it up and they bought it and they hated it, fine, that's cool. Everyone dislikes different things. That's fine. But I would like, I would never do. I don't know. What I'm preferring now as an author is I'm flirting with the idea of supporting each other, you know, of having book clubs, you know, and I think as an author we should look into that.
Okay, so would you then utilize the book clubs to
yes.
garner reviews?
Which, weirdly enough, ostensibly is the same thing. You know, you're still giving your book away, saying please review it. You know, so it's kind of the same thing. Perhaps once bitten, twice shy. I'm not sure.
So I mean,
listen, I'm brave enough to try again. I'll try again. Should we see what happens round two?
That's what she said. And it was a mistake. Round two was definitely a mistake. So I think for those people watching, one of the obvious questions up front is going to be, okay, Amazon reviews. I just give this out to friends and family, right? Should we explain to people watching a bit of the algorithms behind the Amazon review system, basically what to do and what not to do when it comes to Amazon? I mean, obviously, Amazon, for those of you not too clued up when it comes to what happens in the world of Amazon, the review system's recently gone through quite a large overhaul where I think unscrupulous providers out there were providing paid for services. You know, I wouldn't, mention names, but getting 50 reviews for, small amounts of money. And obviously this puts people at at quite a disadvantage. So Amazon recently has come out and strengthened, you better hide that face, strengthened the review system against that sort of gaming. So instead of being able to spend a bit of money and garner large amounts of reviews, there are some rules you need to know about what you can and can't do and the risks thereof. So if you're like Sonia.
Sorry to interrupt. On that note, I kind of agree with him. Because if you've got a big publisher, they've got the budget to pay for those reviews, right? So they've got the budget to pay for 10,000 reviews. And as a self-published author, how can you possibly compete against that? So on the one hand, I agree with Amazon, certainly, for clamping down on that. You want honest reviews. So please continue.
I completely agree. I think every, as a person who helps a lot of authors, I mean, that's obviously what my business involves. I kind of see Amazon as an extremely strict and religious parent, you know, where
good description. Yeah.
They take quite heavy-handed approaches which affect people quite drastically. So if you Google updates on the Amazon ecosystem, especially when it comes to the ebooks, you're going to get a lot of unhappy people where a minor tweak affects hundreds and thousands of authors, and often it's taking money off people's taking money out of people's wallets and food out people's mouths. That was a mouthful for some reason. So
that's what she said.
I think that definitely must be edited out. So the way I've always seen Amazon's approach, I mean, bear in mind, I'm speaking from South Africa. So a lot of the time I view these conversations as, I see these successful American authors, and a lot of the time it feels like, they're moaning. They're moaning about a minor tweak, taking, a six-figure income and taking, maybe an extra zero off, where the sort of authors that we see a lot from countries like South Africa are emerging authors excited about the technology, but nowhere near an even playing field. So things Amazon does, and they do, tend to come across as quite heavy-handed. So obviously with the review system as an example, but also it links to the KDP Select, the pages read algorithm, where people, might read 10 pages and you would just get paid for a 10-page read as opposed to the full value. And Amazon tweaks this consistently, and it's doing it for the greater good. And I get that some authors get, screwed along the way. And luckily, Amazon eventually does tend to listen. I think if you harass them enough and it's a mistake, they will try and rectify. But I kind of feel that they've got the greater interest of people at heart, or at least the readers. And I take that side of things. I think as long as the readers get the best deal, I would feel safer that way.
I agree that they are trying to be fair. And the people who are moaning are probably those who were joking the system and now can't anymore. Amazon, on the one hand, we call it a beast, and it is. But on the other hand, there is an enormous amount of resources available to teach you how to work the system. And as an author, I strongly suggest you work with professionals, like Dave from MYeBook, because while I have the knowledge, because I've obviously Googled myself ad nauseum, I don't have the time. And most authors write in their spare time. They have a day job. I have about 5 day jobs. Being awesome, of course, is one of them.
Full-time job.
No, but the point is, if I was a trust fund baby, or if I had nothing else to do except market my book, I could make an enormous success of it because the information is there. The platforms are there. The tools are there. But it's how to implement it. And I think as a new author, you also get overwhelmed with all the different options. You mentioned KDP Select and this and this and this and this, and there's just so much. So I do suggest for new authors, it's rather spend, and that's why I was saying go slowly, rather spend a little bit of more money and do it right. Work with professionals, work with people who know what they're doing. This is their living. Dave's not so bad. He's pretty good. He kind of knows the stuff. But instead of just throwing money, I think I spent, I'm trying to remember now, a couple $100, I can't remember. But I would much rather spend that money would have been far better allocated to an online campaign, like there's other ways to do things.
You spent a few $100 for those people watching. That's millions and millions of rand.
Zimbabwean dollars.
So to get back to the technical bit for the geeky people watching, a couple things you need to know about Amazon reviews. It's not always as simple as asking people around you. Amazon, being as smart as Amazon is, they often can find out if a review has been incentivized. So under the T's and C's, if I remember correctly, they do use the term if the person's under the same house, under the same roof. And if they figure out that something's been, if a review that's been left has been incentivized, I'll give you a book if you leave a review. Amazon takes quite a heavy-handed approach. Firstly, the the smallest that'll happen is a review is taken off. But the worst that can happen and does happen is people get blacklisted. So one of the things is when asking for reviews, it needs to be done in quite an open fashion. So an example would be, for example, that's a lot of examples, but leaving a paragraph at the end of your book. So, you know, so essentially the book back matter going, hey, reader, thank you so much for buying the book. If you enjoyed the book, I'd really appreciate an honest review. So that's a simple step, for example, to prompt readers for a review. But just bear in mind that it's not always as easy as giving the book to someone or asking someone to actually just leave a review. Because if the person says something, for example, it's my first review I've ever left on Amazon, and I leave a glowing review on a book on birth. I'm sure Amazon's smart enough to go through and go, hold on, this guy's just made his account. And he's giving a glowing 5-star review of a random person who happens to live, maybe if they look at your IP address, the same country, at the same area code. So one of the rules Amazon put in was the person must have an active account. It must have purchased, I think, for $50
$50, you have to have a minimum spend of $50 in your account.
A minimum spend. I can't just log on and, you know, Sonia's a friend. Maybe she's offered me, you know, various amounts of coffee. We'll make this PG. And
Sonia, where you were going with that. I would never.
Pimping for reviews. I think that's actually a service we should consider.
We should totally do that. We should totally
We'll sell my body for reviews on Amazon, 5-star or you know, less. So,
we do it now. How much for one shirt? Sorry.
Wait.
Oh, Dave. Take it off.
Can you see I'm showing some nipple?
Yeah.
So you must have had an active Amazon account. You can't just create and leave a review. You must have purchased at least $50 and above. And the review you leave should not, I firmly believe, I don't know if this is in the rules, but it should not be super too complimentary. It shouldn't be too nice, because I think where that happens, especially where there's not much history on the account, it might be obvious that, you know, the person's been incentivized. So just bear that in mind. That
nice, but not that nice. So I'm going to give you a 4.5.
Yeah, it's kind of like playing hard to get. You don't want to give too much out on the first date. So yeah, you know, Sonia's nice. I mean, the book has, you know, some spelling errors, but I mean, aside from that, it's a good read. And I think rather err on the side of caution. Obviously, the risk that you face is going to be getting blacklisted. So I think do it smart. If you're going to prompt people, you know, do things like, you know, passive things like the marketing at the back of the book, prompting for the review, and where you might be having events, you prompt it, but you always should do it in quite a neutral way, asking for that honest review, maybe rather than a positive review. And as I say, bear in mind that the person, they don't have to have bought the book. So obviously Amazon says either it's a verified purchase or it doesn't. If they bought the book, it means it will then say verified purchase, you know, with the review. But the person must have a track record on Amazon. So it's important for people to know.
Yeah.
And back to you.
I have nothing else to say.
Okay.
Yeah, I just, you know, it's like a love-hate relationship. You know, on the one hand, you want the reviews, and on the other hand, it's difficult. But that's why it's a process. It's an absolute process. I think, like I said, like you've got to weigh up what's more important to you. You know, I would rather get 2 new, genuine, great reviews a month than pay for 20 new ones. And, geez, what do you get? You know. But then,
You're saying quality over quantity.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Like the way I genuinely feel about reviews, and I take a bit of a different approach to the norm, partly because I'm living in a country where people often, I'm going to try to word this without coming across too hateful of the first world places. I mean, third world t-shirt should give it away. You see it? Yeah, you can. Okay, so I think I wish I could be a bit higher right now. So I think one of son. Oh, so I think one of the things I see with my authors that to be honest, it's probably one of the hardest things about what I do and how I do what I do, is that people are writing into a void. So imagine you write in a country where people don't know about Amazon, the ecosystem, and the amounts of people waiting on the other side. Now, those reviews that are left on Amazon, to me, I mean, obviously that's something that's really important, but not for the obvious reason. I think the most important bit is the feedback loop an author gets where people are actually appreciating their work. Because what I see happen a lot, Sonia, and you might agree, is people write, but because they don't get the feedback in things like reviews, they stop writing. I think the review system, good or bad, it's people who are part of your world, a part of your book and part of your journey. And I think that feedback cycle of the review system, for example, is so important for that reason alone. Just so that a writer who's sitting on their own at a coffee shop and has spent the last year writing their heart out, has someone else going, wow, that was a good book, or it wasn't. But I think the feedback loop, to me, to stop the writer feeling so isolated is so important.
I completely agree with you. And, jokes
can you put
aside,
some background music? When I'm saying that, can you put some slow violin music in the background?
Yeah, I'm also going to slow you down. If only you were walking right now. I could even do explosions behind you. Oh, please go down, like you're going down the steps. Oh, please do it. Okay, go. Don't break anything. Dave's now left us. He took the elevator.
And he's back.
I completely agree with you because, I can laugh at those reviews now, but I have to tell you, those negative reviews, they really impacted me because there was a lot of pettiness and there was a lot of inaccuracy. If it was a simple case of, I hate the way she writes, information was good, but I don't, that's different. So in my case, it was very personal and I did take it hard. But what balanced that, exactly what you're saying now, what balanced that was the positive reviews I got from other sources. And that certainly, as a writer, made me feel a hell of a lot better and gave me the confidence to write my second book. So I completely and utterly agree with you. And I think, if we're speaking now in this video predominantly to a South African market, we have to put Amazon within its place. And it is there, and it is a big tool, and we need to get into it, and we need to work it and everything else. But it should not dictate your authorship, basically. That was my profound ending. Yeah,
that was beautiful. I want to have some explosions in the background of that one. So, quick question with a very quick answer. Would you rather have bad reviews or no reviews left at all? Quick answer, TikTok.
0 reviews or none? Oh, sorry, 0. It's so hard to choose. None or 0. 0 or only negative? That is a very interesting question. I'm trying.
Did you just say only negative?
But you said, did you say no reviews at all?
I thought you meant less than 0 negative. Okay, never mind. You're right.
Oh my God.
You're confusing something.
You confused me. What was your question? Would I rather have no reviews or only negative reviews?
What I'm saying, Sonia, is that this book is incredibly misleading and has nothing but outdated misinformation backing everything up.
Outdated?
Yeah.
That's a new one. I don't think I read that one.
That was a low blow. Carry on.
All right. So you try to prompt me by that little emotional.
And you totally didn't even answer.
No reviews or only negative reviews? Probably no reviews, because I wouldn't, and this is my personal opinion, I am passionate about educating women. So I wouldn't want those reviews which, if I wrote complete bullshit and I was like, if you stand on your back during birth, you'll give birth to a baboon and then you can sell the baboon on the black market. Like if I spoke absolute shit, fine, fair enough. But I wouldn't want a mother on the edge of choosing her birth choices to be influenced by that shit, quite honestly. So my answer, dear Dave, would be none.
Okay. Next quick question is...
God, another one. I barely got through that one. Okay, go. I'm ready.
Okay. Let's try to keep this one shorter than the last one now. Okay, so
confuse me then. Okay, go.
I'm a new author. I've written the book. It's about to go on live. What's the quickest way and cheapest way to get reviews for the book on Amazon?
I would tap into your existing market through every single piece of social media you have. So your Facebook, your Instagram, your Pinterest, your LinkedIn, etc., your mailing lists, okay? Keep it short, keep it to the point. Email everyone and go, hey guys, and I would definitely make it as simple as possible for people to get hold of your book. So for a week, I'd make the book, if not free, 99 cents, so that it's a you're not putting a burden on your possible future reviewers, and that link needs to be quick, and then follow up with them. Hey, did you download the book? Did you enjoy it? Cool. Would you mind? Terribly, here's the link. Bearing in mind, the majority of the people you email, if you're in South Africa, probably won't have an Amazon account, which means they won't be able to leave a review because they haven't got that $50 spend.
Do people in South Africa have email addresses?
Oh, did we give that secret away? We even have computers. Who knew?
Yeah, that's going to be tricky. Maybe we can use carrier pigeon.
Could do, possibly. Although my lion tends to eat them for breakfast. But we haven't discussed Goodreads. We haven't discussed other platforms. Amazon is not the only place to leave reviews. Goodreads is for free. Leave your things on Goodreads, and it's the biggest kind of book library thing.
The review system from Goodreads, does it link into the algorithm from Amazon's side? I know they bought Goodreads, but do you think it makes the reviews?
So I have yet to see what the impact is going to be since Amazon has bought Goodreads, but currently no, it does. So it pulls in the book information. So if you want to review a book, you can put in the AISN or ISBN, whatever the case is, and it does pull the information from Amazon. But it also pulls from the other platforms, from iBooks, Barnes & Noble, Kobo, etc. So it pulls the information, but no, reviews on Goodreads are... Sorry, I'm speaking so fast. Yeah. Because you put that pressure on me. Reviews on Goodreads are... What's the word I'm looking for? It's in its own... It's in it.
Rubik's Cube.
It's in its... Are contained to Goodreads.
It's contained. So
like
my advice...
See my fucking reviews.
I'm not angry. I'm an evil kitten. No. So my advice to authors...
Nail polish, by the way. I noticed the color. Sorry.
It's beautiful. Can you see mine? It's called...
No, it's the blood of my sacrifices.
Very hardcore. Very hardcore. And so my advice to people, and you can tell me, Son, whether you agree or whether you agree, is to rather focus gathering reviews on the Amazon system rather than the outside systems, because Amazon primarily rates the book's popularity based on its own review system rather than, for example, Goodreads,
etc. Agreed.
Things like that. So where people do offer to leave a review, really try and recommend that they leave it directly on Amazon. Obviously, they're going to have to obey the rules of having an account, etc. But that's kind of where you want to collect the reviews, and also in terms of book sales, where people might be tempted to get you the book, for example, by side loading it, sending you a separate ebook file and things like that. Obviously, a sale from Amazon also pumps up the algorithm. So, if possible, try always route people through the Amazon ecosystem. Firstly for the purchase, and secondly for the review.
Very good point. I mean, reviews are not the only part of the algorithm that Amazon uses. And of course, sales and downloads is a big part as well. So even if, let's say, you send out to 100 people and 80 of them respond and download your book, but only 2 leave a review, you're still getting 80 sales. So, it's not a loss. Absolutely. Good point.
Good. And,
although I do hope now that Amazon Prime, a lot of people are using Amazon Prime now. How much is Amazon Prime a month?
$99?
No, it can't be that much. It must be like $9, surely.
That's Kindle Unlimited.
Okay.
Kindle Unlimited is access to the library of books. So
no,
for those
about
of you,
Amazon Prime, the movie channel.
It's well, I know Amazon Prime is roughly $100 a month. Is it a month or a year?
Must be a year. Can't be that expensive. Anyway, I mean, that would go through. Yeah, we must look at that. We'll put a little thing up. It costs this much. Yeah.
Carry on.
No, that's you keep missing my profound endings. That was it. That was my ending ended. Is why do I keep going so close? Okay, there we go. I make my head smaller than yours. That's true. Actually, I'm just like, can you see? Oh God, it's so hot.
Yeah, it's so hot. Oh. I'm just gonna go get myself something to drink. Yeah, I'm gonna just
I laughed so hard. I hit my head on this chair. That ass so sexy. So sexy. So Dave, what do you want to talk about tonight?
Gee, brain, the same thing we talk about every night.
How to take over the toilet.
That was a little bit spooky. But
Squatting. I'm squatting.
Are you
Get the
squatting?
chair back.
Keep
I
the
gotta
squat.
chair
Keep
back.
the squat.
Okay. I have no heater.
I should turn my hair up.
Oh God, it's like 3 degrees cooler.
I do that with my pubes sometimes.
I thought you were gonna say you do it with my dick sometimes. Because it's that big.
Oh,
Hey,
son, you know the right words to say. Oh, that looks like one of those 19.
Yes,
it looks like one of those
exactly.
1920s.
Exactly.
Legs, right?
That was a complete accident.
Like, isn't that like what? It's one of those Air Force ladies.
Yes. I need to. Oh, and I am. I'm. What's that thing called? Saluting.
Are you saluting?
I'm saluting. Well, I'm also holding my head down, but I'm still saluting. It's called. Bye, Dave. It was really fun seeing you. Have you tried to talk yet? It's a little difficult. Can you talk? Oh my goodness, you look almost like a cartoon. You look like a cartoon. Oh God, I'm trying to think who it is. Like the Incredibles dude.
A cartoon?
Yeah.
That's a little bit.
No, don't cheat. Talk like that. 2 hands, 2 fingers, Dave. 2 fingers.